Good morning, dear distinguished guests. A research culture encompasses the behaviors, values, expectations, attitudes, norms of our research communities. A research symposium is a highlight of a university. Dear guests, we are at this event where the researchers will showcase their research findings carried out throughout the year. So let me warmly welcome you to the International Research Symposium 2022, organized by the University of Vocational Technology. To begin with, I kindly request you to rise for the university anthem.
අපගේ මනසේ පිහිවන නොලසේ අදහස් සහසේ මහිමය විලසේ ඉරහඳ අතරේ සුපුරුදු ඇසුරේ නව මිනිසුන්සේ දැය නංවනසේ
සුරු කමින් දිවි මග ජය ගනිමු
නැගුණ හිරුවෙමින් දැය සවිමත් කරමු පිරුණු සඳ ලෙසින් මනුදම් බබලවමු
නිපුණ අප මතින් නව ලොව බිහි කරමු
Like a million thoughts blazed in our minds, vibrant and alive. New pathways to blaze under the sun and moon to live in harmony. A new humanity, nation to reawake.
සරසවියකි නව ලෝකය යා කරනා
ජීවිතයේ හැම වියදිම පිළිගැනෙනා අප ලබනා සිත් අපටම එලි පුදනා
ඒ එලි වැටමව් පිරණම සනසවනා எங்கள் மனதில் சடுதியாய் உதிக்கும் எண்ணங்கள் ஆயிரம் அது பயன் தரும் என்றும் இந்த பூமியிலே என்றும் உள்ளவர்கள் புது மனிதரை போ நாட்டை உயர்த்திடவே අපගේ මනසේ පිහිවන නොලසේ අදහස් සහසේ මහිමය විලසේ ඉරහඳ අතරේ සුපුරුදු ඇසුරේ නව මිනිසුන්සේ දැය නංවනසේ
A new humanity, nation to reawake.
புது மனிதரை போ நாட்டை உயர்த்திடவே නව මිනිසුන්සේ දැය නංවනසේ
Organizing a symposium is no easy task. Of course, there is a strong team behind, but none of these could have been achieved without this personality. Dr. L.W.S. Kularatne, the symposium chair. Sir, this invitation is for you to welcome the gathering officially.
Good morning, dear colleagues, senior professors, lecturers, researchers, students, and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and welcome you all to the annual International Research Symposium 2022 of University of Vocational Technology. Moreover, I honorably welcome our Vice Chancellor, Sir, Senior Professor Ranjith Premalal Silva, Keynote Speaker, Professor Carlos Dinamarca, and plenary speakers, Senior Professor K.K.D.S. Ranaweera, Professor G.L.D. Wickramasinghe, and our moderator, Professor Chandana Jayalath. It is my hope that this symposium would be able to achieve its objective in providing an effective forum for academicians, students, researchers, and practitioners to advancing knowledge, research, and technology for a resilient future. I express my sincere thanks to the Vice Chancellor, Organizing Committee, CMT team led by Dr. Lochandra, institutions, companies, and volunteers who have directly and indirectly supported for the success of this symposium. Although we try our best to be professional, on behalf of the university, please accept our sincere apologies should there be any inconveniences that occur before, during, or after the event. I wish you all a very productive conference with exciting and encouraging discussions and exchange of knowledge so that together we can anticipate a future of groundbreaking knowledge, research, and technology for the development of human society. Thank you very much.
I warmly invite Senior Professor Ranjith Premalal de Silva, Vice Chancellor of University of Vocational Technology, for the inaugural address. Sir, over to you.
To the International Research Symposium of University of Vocational Technology 2022. Professor Carlos Dinamarca from Southeastern University, Norway. Professor G.L.D. Wickramasinghe from Colombo Plant Staff College and former Vice Chancellor of University of Vocational Technology. Senior Professor K.K.D.S. Ranaweera, a well-known personality, researcher, and a good friend of University of Vocational Technology. Professor Chandana Jayalath, the moderator of the main session. Dr. Sunil Kularatne, the International Research Symposium coordinator. Distinguished invitees, my colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy and privileged to be speaking to you at the inaugural session of the International Research Symposium 2022. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Sunil Kularatne and his team for successfully organizing the research symposium for this year amidst our financial constraints, with a very good participation and contribution for research papers for the symposium. Although we organized this event online with very limited cost, it would make a very significant impact in the research community. If you look at the objectives of the research symposium, to be frank, for some of us, some of our colleagues, this is an opportunity to present a paper and be eligible for a research allowance from the university. But for most of us, It is an event having much more value, much more appreciation within the research work that we are doing. It is an opportunity for all of us to meet and greet fellow researchers, colleagues, and it is an opportunity for all of us to see what others are doing in the area of their own research. When we have a physical on-ground research symposium, we have a very limited opportunity to interact with each other. Some of you may not agree. When we meet physically, we can interact. But we listen to the presentations, we listen to the research work that's been presented, but individually we have very limited opportunity to interact unless we meet during the refreshment breaks. But here, when we are meeting online, we have the opportunity to interact through the chat continuously and also keep them together in various sessions, get them to attend the sessions that we want them to attend. So have more interactions possible in a different way through the online work. And also we know as researchers, this is our duty and responsibility to contribute towards the furtherance of science. We have learned from the contributions from others, but they have contributed towards the development of science. And now it is our turn to make individual contributions to make the further advancement of science in our own area of expertise. So this is an opportunity to share what we have achieved, what we have performed, what we have gained through our research. Also, the research symposium would give us an opportunity to understand the current research trends in our own disciplines. What kind of research has been done, what kind of research are ongoing, and what kind of opportunities, what kind of gaps that would exist so that we can contribute for filling such gaps. So it's another advantage that you would get through this kind of events to understand the background and the developments of our own disciplines in the area of research. And we, as academics, we have very limited opportunities to learn from others. We go and teach in the classrooms to the students. So we learn from students, we learn from our own reading, our own references, but it's very rare that we get instances for learning from peers. So International Research Symposium provides a platform for all of us to learn from peers. And also, that is, I think, very important item in a research symposium. We publish proceedings. Now, this is a good piece of material that we can keep for future reference. And I'm very happy that the organizers of the International Research Symposium 2022 managed to release the proceedings on the day of the symposium. That's very important because I have seen some of the research congresses, symposia, the proceedings are released after 1 or 2 years. And by the time we receive the proceedings, the research described in the proceedings have become either obsolete or have moved forward very much than what have been mentioned in the document. So it is very timely that the organizing committee decided to release the research symposium proceedings on the day of the symposium so that it can contribute as a very useful reference material, not only during the symposium, but also in the contemporary research references. So I thank all of you for being here today, joining us with this International Research Symposium of University of Vocational Technology, and wish all of you a very rewarding day ahead. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Carlos Dinamarca, our keynote speaker. Professor Carlos has obtained his PhD in environmental biotechnology in 2010, Norwegian University of Science and Technology, Norway. He has obtained Master of Science, Environmental Analysis, Aquaculture in 2001 from Belgium. His Bachelor of Science in Marine Science in the year 1995, University of Antofagasta, UA, Chile. Professor Carlos is an environmental process engineering specialist with over 20 years of experience in operation support and process optimization based on process data and chemical analysis. Also, he is experienced in diverse process units in Norway and abroad, including biogas and bioelectrochemical systems. Presently, Professor Carlos is Professor of Department of Process, Energy, Environment, University of Southeastern Norway. Thank you.
So once again, because I was muted, thank you very much for the invitation to join this conference, to share some thoughts about how to build or how to go towards a resilient future, opportunities and innovations. Well, you already hear my name. I'm Carlos Dinamarca from the University of Southeastern Norway. And then I want first to say what I will not deal with, because I have used a short 15 minutes to present this. And often these trends about a resilient future deals a lot with risk management, risk uncertainty, and student risk management, often dealing with natural catastrophes as earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, or events related to water. I will not really go into these issues because I guess it's very intrinsic to the subject. I will just try to build on really fundamental things to build a resilient future. And perhaps I was thinking to share a few thoughts, very fundamental issues where upon what we need to build a resilient future based on technology, based on innovation, research. But first, to talk very shortly about economy, basically economical cycles, about our institutions, our education systems, or human capital, that I think is really the most important issues before we start planning for a resilient future. And shortly go through the subject itself about industrial networks, digitalization, a study case on technology and innovation, and perhaps try to one up in a takeaway message. So very shortly, and for the sakes perhaps of students that might be looking at, I want to shortly describe how in a way economy works and why it's important to know timely in which stage of an economical cycle we're in. This is very important because building and planning, constructing infrastructure though, for a resilient future is a really intensive, economically intensive task. And we see that over time, it's very simple figure, right? Productivity will increase over time, this time in years. And the means of productivity is because the means of productivity also increases technologically advancing. So the unit of production will increase, perhaps people, perhaps citizens or local areas. And it's natural that that will increase over time. However, what drives the economy is basically debt. This is something that we need to realize, because the main issue with the economy is the flow of cash. And then the flow of cash will depend in debt of our banks. And we will have a central bank that in periods will print more money. It seems like, it may seem like obvious, I guess, but many times we don't realize that economy moves in cycles. A full cycle will take between 70 years, between 70 and 80 years, when we have periods of great expanding, when economy is going up. This is the red line going up. Central banks are printing a lot of money. Interest rates are very low, and economy is going well. While in times of compression, when inflation is a little high, then the central bank will put interest rates down, and the whole economy will depress a little bit. And this is important to know, because we need to know when we are going to do an inversion. We need to know what we will see to our partners and institutions, at which time might be the most wise time to plan or wait or perhaps invest. And therefore it's important. Every long cycle in the economy is composed of shorter cycles, and these shorter cycles are between 7 and 8 years, with periods of greater spending and periods of low spending. We need to be aware of the cycles. That is kind of a very short message on it. It's a fundamental issue that we know our economy, perhaps most important our local economy, before we go into great deals of investment. The other thing that's important to consider very carefully when we are building for a resilient future is the stability of our institutions. This is very basic. Now we know that the core of our society are the families, and the families have three more basic necessities, and this is shelter, this is food, this is security, and we can extrapolate this to the whole of society, and perhaps we can increase it to self-realization, more education, and so on. But our institutions are appointed to serve the society, and we will have always some pillars in institutions that are our ministries, that will regard on law and order, health, education, food production, and promotion entrepreneurship. We need to know very well the mechanics of how our institution works, and then we can embark in bigger projects. Ideally, our countries should have a small and very efficient institutions, and I think that it's important to share this thought, because I am not really political, but I think that we need to have a way of being able to project this idea at any time that we can. You have a little picture about the amount of ministries in different countries in Europe. You can start from the right to left, and then you will have Sweden, the Netherlands, and so on. And you can see that very efficient countries have a few ministries of about 10 to 12, and more or less in the middle. You can have other countries like Portugal, for instance, that have around 50 ministries, while less efficient administrations will have more ministries. And it's important to know that more ministries, bigger institutions, their efficiency will get not so good. And therefore it's important to build the mechanics, because we need to build the foundations to be able to build and do projections, because we need resources. We need to use these tools in the governance of our country. Therefore, we want to know that. I'm sorry, I need to go back. And very, very shortly also, used to mention that the third very fundamental, let's say, foundation is the education. We need to have our human capital. And I will not say too much onto it. You are a university, you know the value of your young engineers, of your technicians, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, builders, and so on. So you need to have, of course, this in-house. And I really appreciate all your students, because we have here in Norway very well prepared young people that have come to Norway to work. A very important fraction, well, all of these young students, they stay here and they are helping to grow a Norwegian industry. So I know that you have very good curricula, very good studies down there, but it's important that somehow the creations need to be created so you can give your very valuable resources. This is an amazing human capital you have there. So more into the topic, and now I am not timing myself, I forgot that, but I hope that this is still okay with the time. You let me know anyway. Let me just shortly now go a little bit into the technology. I want to think about to build a resilient future, you need to have networking. And I like really much this picture here, where you will always have a core of businesses, or in this case, people surrounded around other businesses. You cannot have really a business standing alone or a technology standing alone. You will always need to have this connected to other technologies or to other businesses, and it's the only way this will become really resilient. Here I have an example, very simple one, to exemplify, give an example of what I mean. It's a case study about a biogas plant, where you will have the process technology. The core is the anaerobic digester. And this, I am not thinking here about innovation, because a biogas and biogas plants have been around for many, many, many years. It's really well-proven technology. Here I am thinking in the core, a continuous stirred reactor, where you have biogas production. The important here is that to the left side, you will have wet organics, organic material that need to go to the plant to be able to produce the biogas. And often this is done through contracts with farmers. So in the left side, where you have wet organics, then you will have organizations, local organization, small, where you will have contracts, and they will secure the acquisition of waste of organic food for you to run the AD. To the right side, you will have methane. I simplify by that. Methane upgradation systems. Often in Norway, we can have small companies, for instance, using technology from Sweden or Germany, where you will have, for instance, water scrubbers or other kind of technologies, where you will upgrade the methane from 50% to about 95%. You will produce a digestate that is after the sludge is processed, and this digestate will go back to the farmers. So then again, you need another link, another arrow there. It means that you will have an agreement, and you will be working with some people. And this network of, let's say, contacts or network of process units is not that one single owner will manage all this technology as a one piece. They will have often technology, the blue lines, it means technologies, and these technologies will be handled by one small company, for instance, the pyrolysis, and you will have somebody delivering the raw material. Here we have dry organics coming from the forest, coming from producers of materials like wood, branches and stuff like that. They don't use in the production, will go to pyrolysis, and out of pyrolysis will come synthesis gas, will come biochar, will come bio oil, and these products will go in combination with AD. So, and there is all sort of connections. So every time that when we think about a technology, we don't think it standing alone, or that a small group of persons will be able to run this successfully. We need to create a network of persons in charge. Often small companies, very compact, very efficient, that they know what they are doing. So this is the idealized picture of a company in Drammen. Now I am working in Porsgrunn. Drammen is perhaps 100 kilometers north, and they, as you see in the picture, here you have a biogas plant in the core. I really don't know if you can see my pointer. Let's see. Here is the biogas plant, and the biogas plant will produce this. Well, let's see, methane. Methane will be used in the buses that are running in the locality. They will produce heat, and they might also convert this to electricity for the locals. The biogas plant will also produce fertilizer, and the CO2 that is going to be used in the greenhouse to produce tomatoes. You will have fertilizer that is going to go to the farmer. The farmer will drive back some of their manure. The farmer will produce food, and so on. So when we look at the building of societies in the future to be more resilient, the amount of arrows, the amount of connections between services is really important. Often industrial sites are also combined with several industries that use what other companies are going to depose. And this is a plant that I built as an example, is called the Magiske Fabriken, or the Magical Factory, and it's not just a plant, but it's also all sort of activities are happening there. Even they use it as a sort of museum where people, students, go there and take a tour through the plant. You can see here the tanks. These are for biogas production. Here you can see three tanks for biogas. This fourth one that you cannot see in the picture. Here you have the gas upgrading facility, and then you have gas compression. And here you will have where the fertilizer is being accumulated. Here you will have the greenhouse to produce tomatoes. So everything is in one industrial site, in a way, in a small, relatively small space of space, but it's a lot of different technologies working together in agreement for the well-being of the whole society. And I guess now my time is off, but I will just shortly tell you a little bit more about biogas. These black lines, or the black parts of the drawing, is very, very well known, very well established technology. And my point is here is that when we talk about innovation, doesn't necessarily need to mean that we are going to build the technology ourselves, because it's completely unnecessary. And there are very well designed units. In this case, you have a screw conveyor plus reject. You will have a tank and equalizer, where you will mix water with the food waste. For instance, this is a plant for food waste. You will have an hydrolysis tank that it will be about 350, 500 cubic meters. And then you have a big biogas reactor that in this case might be around 2,000 cubic meters. Biogas reactor here goes from 2,000 cubic meters up to 10,000 cubic meters. And then you will have a system where you will upgrade the gas. Now, this is all very well established, working, and how we build it here is that different companies, of course, will do their part, and we will work together to build a plant. Important here is to point out that in this case, to talk about a little shortly about innovation, we have been working about 8 years in a system called a microbial electrosynthesis to upgrade biogas further, to squeeze out more biogas of the system. And I just want to pose the question that is really expensive to do these kind of things. It's very time consuming. We have gone through different steps as by CO2 gradation to methane, the mechanical design, the power supply, the cost estimation, aspect on sulfide removal, aspect on ammonium removal, working with all kind of electrodes. Now we're working with the steel electrodes and working with single fermentation. These things take a lot of time, a lot of resources. So we always need to ask the question, is it worth it to innovate ourselves, or perhaps in some occasions we can do it. It's very good to screen the globe, screen for technologies, because some of the technologies are very well available. So when just by studying one of these aspects, this thing as fermentation, we have many challenges as gas to liquid mass transfer, lack of reducing equivalents, kinetic growth limitations, and so on. So my very short summary of it in this, I don't know, 50 minutes or so, is that we talk about building a resilient future and based on technology, and that is very well. This is very resource intensive. You need a lot of capital, and therefore it's necessary just to screen about what already is existent, proven technology. Is not really necessary to be hard on investment to run innovations, but perhaps it's more necessary to think about the very fundamental aspects of our own working. I am thinking about the economy. We need to know very well how economy works. We need to know very well how institutions are built and how they function. And also we need to work with your human capital. So that is a few thoughts just to introduce you to this nice meeting, okay? So thank you very much. And I guess I need to stop this one here.
Thank you, Professor Carlos Dinamarca, for the valuable presentation. So the second highlight for today is the panel discussion. And for this, I invite Professor Chandana Jayalath, the moderator of the discussion, to introduce the panelists and commence the discussion. Professor Chandana Jayalath, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dilini. I hope you can hear my voice very well. And today, the challenge has been assigned to me by the Symposium Chair, Dr. Kularatne, to moderate this important panel discussion in front of 4 experts on the subject area, including the keynote speaker. Well, Professor Carlos Dinamarca is the leader of the research group in Environmental Process Engineering, Institute of Process, Energy, Environment of the Faculty of Technology, University of Southeastern Norway. Professor Carlos, you are warmly welcome to the panel discussion, and we have 3 more panel members. Of course, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Vocational Technology, Senior Professor Ranjith Premalal the Silva, Senior Professor K.K.D.S, Ranaweera Chair, Department of Food Science and Technology, University of Jayewardenepura, Professor G.L.D. Wickramasinghe, the Director General of the Colombo Plant Staff College based in Manila, Philippines. Of course, Professor Wickramasinghe was the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Vocational Technology. You all are welcome, sir. And today's discussion is surrounding the topic of today, towards a resilient future, opportunities and innovations, which is the theme of the symposium today. And I would like to pose the first question to the keynote speaker, who of course manage a short spell of time to bombard a lot of very important things onto the topic of resilient future. Professor Carlos, you are an expert on the application of biomass technology. My first question is how to widespread this technology in countries like Sri Lanka, according to your gut feeling. Have you done any research on this particular subject area with particular focus in the southern, southeastern countries, and especially in the south countries, including Sri Lanka? any experience, you can add value.
Yeah, well, I have not have the pleasure yet to be in your country, but I have been more or less in similar. Well, I will not similar, but I have some experience. We have worked a little bit on China. We have worked in Nepal. We have worked a little bit on India, and then mm, well, actually, first that we have done to I don't really, I have the impression also that you have already some of the technologies in place. Is my understanding. But the thing that we do is that we basically we start very on the ground level. We start by teaching a little bit of the population, because to build these waste management systems, then you need to have the people, the population in general, being able to sort out these different waste. And this is actually a really difficult part, perhaps the most difficult one. So often it's there where we start with campaigns of information.
Okay, thank you. Professor
Mm.
Carlos, now we all understand the fact that there are a lot of challenges in how to navigate the issue of sustainability, and the circular economy is one of the areas where a lot of PhDs now popping up, and people have been talking about a lot of research on the issue of resilient future. So as an academic, how can we bring this knowledge to ground level? I mean, the village level and the society. As you said, exactly, there should be an institutional extrapolation. So can you simplify this statement that you made in your keynote speech?
Yeah, well, I guess that for me it's really hard to generalize, because really I don't know. In your case or your circumstances, this might change from let's see, from cities to cities, from town to town, but basically it's used by promoting it. I cannot say what tool we will use. The universities play a really central role, but also our local governments play a very important role. Unfortunately, I will say that it's difficult sometimes in the side of the politics, because the politicians have different ideas. But I think that the academic or the knowledgeable people on technical issues, they with a team of people working in the media or publishers, these are the right people to use for that task. If we want to spread a very simple message across, then we need to use a specialist to do that. I am more of a technical man, so I help where I am most competent in. I guess that if we want to spread the word, I guess you need to have a really resourceful and specialized people on that task. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I can see the informed-based discussion is what matters at the moment to act upon the resilient future issues. Now we have also a professor in food technology, expert in food science, and Professor K.K.D.S. Ranaweera. Sir, can you add your thoughts onto the today's topic?
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to the to become a witness in International Research Symposium 2022, organized by the University of Vocational Technology. And now I think it's very timely taken topic that we are going to focus today. Now it doesn't matter that where in which area we are working. For example, my bread and butter is food technology, food science, and nutrition. But wherever you work, so we are pressed for now resources. We are pressed for what you call financial assistance, and all the environment is shrinking in terms of research resources availability. So therefore, we have always tried to look into the new concepts like green technologies, or as you mentioned, circular economy. So food science and technology, or food technology, also needs to be looked at from different angles, like conservation of resources, giving maximum benefits to the nation, and of course resilience. Now, of course, it means nowadays our society and in as many societies in other countries, we are now going down in terms of economy and production. So therefore, in keeping with the resilience and keeping with the challenges that we have to meet, we have to produce food for all at affordable prices and in sustainable way. So this is where we have to look into sustainability and green concepts and all other very environmental friendly concepts.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Now we have Professor Wickramasinghe also as an administrator to an international organization. Any initiatives taken from your side to address this matter of food issues, and all are trying our best to towards a resilient future. A lot of research has been done actually. So we have to disseminate this knowledge down to various other sectors who are really part and parcel of the issues. So any effort from your side as an international organization from different perspectives you may have, not only education, not only training, not only research, but in terms of governance and speaking.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Jayalath. I think this is a very important topic, especially with the current context. Right. So basically, if you go to the topic, resilient. So what we are talking about is resiliency. Basically, we, ourselves, these are internal characteristics. Right? It may be individual, we have to be resilient, or our institutional have to be resilient to face the future challenges. So in that case, we are talking about a lot of things relevant to this resiliency, like VUCA world, how we face to this volatile, uncertain, complex, and also ambiguity, environment. The good example is, as an example, with the pandemic and 4IR. Right? So in that context, I'll discuss, especially relevant to Tibet, because University of Vocational Technology is one of the key institutions actually to prepare for this one, because we have to prepare our institutions and people to face this resilience. They have to be resilient, right? Because especially, I want to tell you, as an example, even my case, CPC also, because there are a lot of multiple transitions now, not like earlier. So we have to face for 4IR, fourth industrial revolution. There are a lot of things happening, and digitalization, including education, and also, as clearly mentioned, one of the areas like SDG and reading. So with that one, there are a lot of changes, right? So even I think I saw there is a topic, education. So education also changing. So we have to be resilient. As an example, we are not in the phase one now. Education, there are mainly 3 phases now already evolved. Like we are talking about pedagogy, now it's almost gone. So we are still working with this pedagogy, like our face-to-face teaching, lecture notes, and PowerPoint presentation. That era gone now, right? Even andragogy also, like online learning. Right? So we are in the 3rd phase now, what is called heutagogy, platform-based. Right? So if now Tibet sector, especially University of Vocational Technology and the other Sri Lankan institutions, so we have to prepare for this. We have to be resilient. Are we resilient? That is a question. So research and innovation is one area, right? So as an example, I don't know, I know it's very limited time, but I'll quickly go through the fundamentals, because it's very important rather than focusing only one area, right? To be resilient, first, number one, we have to do what we have to do. We have to prepare our students and learners resilient skills, competencies, right? As an example, learning, they must have learning resiliency, especially with the new andragogy and heutagogy, this era. So they have to, you have to prepare them for self-learning and lifelong learning. That is the, the future. And also technology resiliency. Now we are also talking about there as well. So there are a lot of technologies, not only the OIR, digitalization and all, and the educational technology also vary. And therefore, we have to prepare these students for future, because future technology we don't know, is yet to be even invented. And also mental health, now, resiliency, right? So these are the areas mainly we have to address as an academics, and also as clearly mentioned. So there are a lot of other areas like our graduates and also our institutions. Are we resilient? Our capacity, our leadership, right? Our resources. That is, I think we have to address mainly, because innovation culture you won't be able to give without our internal resources. We have to provide that one, right? So therefore, resilience of our institutions for research innovation is very, very important, and especially as I mentioned, education, etc. So yeah, so basically, I'll quickly mention that one. When it comes to innovation, for resilience, we have to innovate our institutions, leadership, and also our organizational practices. And we have to innovate our education systems. As I mentioned, pedagogy, andragogy, and heterogogy. So there are a lot of phases now gone, not only for Industrial 4.0, and also we have to innovate our teaching and learning processes. And we are talking about innovative skills and innovation ecosystems, very important. So that is one part. Innovation, research and development, product innovation, and all, especially this TVET sector, right? So we have to go for product development and applied research, because in all over the world, especially we had a program in Singapore, all the polytechnics and all, they position themselves as applied research institutions, because other universities, they do fundamental and all, because we have to have a niche market. We have to have our strengths. So with all these, because of the timing, I'm not going to go through all these details. And the other opportunity and challenge we have is lifelong learning, right? In the future, because of especially their skills and the competencies change, right? So therefore, we have to prepare for that one. People talk about micro credentials, right? And also learning accounts, digital wards, and the mindset of learning we have to change. So therefore, what I want to tell you in this, especially this panel discussion, University of Vocational Technology has a big role as a staff development center or institution for TVET sector to understand these changes and how the TVET sector, we make them resilient to face the future challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, the points that you made is very, very informative and futuristic. Well, the entire discussion came down to narrow down to the level of University of Vocational Technology, which is the arm of disseminating knowledge specialized in this area. Now we have our Vice Chancellor, sir. I know the fact that in today's context as a university, we have been trying our hard to get new things done as much as we can, but we know that there are a lot of challenges, one of which is the financial barriers. Now, while pursuing behind capital for new initiatives, we have many other challenges. As a university, we need to have a proper strategic plan, of course, and that is also being implemented to the extent where possible. Now, in terms of research and innovation, as a university, for the next 5 years, what is your focus? Now, for the benefit of the other audience, I would like to give you an opportunity to have a good answer on this.
Thank you, Professor Jayalath. Well, our discussion has narrowed down to University of Technology and our strategic plan and how we become resilient in the current context to sustain. Well, university, when it comes to the our sustainability in the present problems related to financial resources, problems in recruitments due to government policies, and also since we have a limited capacity for procurement due to import restrictions. We have been faced multifaceted problems. But I believe that in spite of all these issues, we are very fortunate to inherit very important section that we want to highlight, which is the technology. We are a university of vocational technology. So technology, I think, is the key word that would resolve most of these problems, that would make us resilient in these situations. For example, I'll take the example of the COVID, how we became resilient through the use of technology. Now, technology would enable us to be strong in case of the problems that we face in situations which are very difficult to face. Technology will also provide us the capability for adaptation. It provides solutions which improve our adaptive capabilities. In the case of COVID, we saw how technology could make us strong. Now, one group of medical and bio experts, they came up with a vaccine which can withstand the COVID-19 virus and prevent infection. It also, as a preventive measure, prophylactic measure, it helps us to adapt to situations. Technology provided us to have situations where the environment is risk-free, starting from measuring body temperatures. We had scanners which can scan the people, which can prevent, which can collect the viruses in the environment and destroy. We had multiple automated sprays at different locations. So that gave us the capability to live in this environment, adapt to this environment. That's the technology which is behind us. And also technology help us to overcome the situation, to be resilient. We stood up against this disease, which was at one time thought to be destroying the entire humankind. No, we rose to the new levels. We found solutions how we could go ahead in spite of these problems. And also technology help us to reduce the impacts of COVID-19, not only in the health sector, but in other spheres as well. It helps us to minimize, curtail the impacts that were actually given by the COVID-19 and the other associated issues. Not only that, while technology providing us all these solutions to be resilient, the technology also turned this COVID-19, the problem, into an opportunity. The technology gave us opportunities through the backdrop of COVID-19. Now we have adapted new technologies. We have managed to cut down the cost, having meetings, symposiums in this nature. So all in all, the technology was behind us, supporting us to overcome the situations, to be resilient when we had issues. I think innovations that we would expect in technology is the way forward for the society to be resilient. The resilient future will basically be dependent on the innovations in the technologies that we deal with. I'm sure with the research symposium like this will help us to bring our research into a level which can make the entire society resilient from any issue that we face in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, another buzzword in this discussion is the technopreneurship. Now, we know that the startup or new business ventures in small scale at the beginning, especially the students studying in various disciplines, subject areas of the University of Vocational Technology. The majority is very fond of having their own dependency, and we teach and we have dedicated modules on the entrepreneurship, but mixed with technology, we call it technopreneurship. So, Professor Carlos, in Norway, for example, what kind of initiatives taken place in university environment to promote this concept of technopreneurship? Just in nutshell, if you can answer this.
Yeah, well, this entrepreneurship in Norway is really strong, stimulated by authorities, by universities. I mean, it's part of the curriculum. Even there is local competitions, and the winners of that local competition goes to a national level, and from the national level there's a European competition. So here is about motivating the young students. Often the young students participate through projects. The first course they have in their education as a bachelor in the first semester is project management, and they because the system in Norway is perhaps special in the sense that here the doctor, and it is very different from those places. I'm from Latin America, so I understand here is really different. The doctor, the high educated doctor, is at the same level as the plumber or the mechanical fixing the car. I mean, there is not really a big difference in the, let's see, science or knowledge. The thing that where the institutions spot the difference is they are in their abilities of entrepreneurship. So they are really growing in their minds that if you take a basic education, or if you go for a long-run education, the most important is that you need to have your own company. So they are teaching this to the students since a very young age. They teach them actually the reality of how, let's see, society works, and this is basically economy is markets. So they are teach from very young age how they can go into the market with the knowledge they have, how they can give a service or sell some goods to make profit out of it. They teach them about the system of when you need to pay the taxes, how you need to manage your company, how you will have these meetings, how you will write a minute, very basic stuff. At the same time, they encourage them to have their own ideas. A very early stage, even if these ideas are not so good, and it's obvious because young people might have some ambitious ideas, they still encourage them, and they put in their minds, you are the most clever person on the planet, your idea is unique, and you can sell it. It's not too much about the product itself. It's about the mechanics to be able to sell the product. It's that they have a really strong encouragement to students, and they give the prices. They motivate them. Often they go to in the news, in the newspaper, in a TV show. I mean, here is really strong supported, really strong. Here the prices for having a good student, and for instance, if you have your grades, if you are the best student in your class, I say unfortunately here there is not really a big issue. Nobody goes around telling the students, no, I got this grade. Here is how it went with you in the entrepreneurship competition. That is where they really are eager to do. It's because it's they have been trained in this way since they were very small. So it's really important to guide the students to be entrepreneurs. It's kind of here is the prime key issue in education. That is the first thing we do.
Thank you. Of course, we recently held our university showcasing the food innovations in the university, our students' initiative, and our students had a chance to participate and compete with the other university students in the International Food Festival as well, with the patronage of the other universities with whom we have been closely associated with. Especially we have a panel member, Professor Ranaweera, who actually have been doing big support to us all these times. Well, Professor Wickramasinghe, now you have been with us for the last couple of years. You are an expert in the Tibet sector, and no more introduction is needed. I understand that you are heading a big role over there in the Philippines, and what kind of support in terms of finance and otherwise that you may be able to perhaps render to our university to promote technopreneurship.
Thank you. And I think perhaps some people not aware, CPS is the Staff Development Center for Asia and Pacific under Colombo Plan. So we have 26 countries and 16 active members, and they are affiliated. So this is entrepreneurship is one of the critical topic. For us mainly, what we can do actually, we give awareness programs. As an example, now Sri Lanka, if you want to organize in-country program, so we can propose that to the liaison office, that is the ministry. So then we can develop the program and we can find expert and we can do it. Apart from that one, for research, we don't have research grants, as such, like the other institutions, but mainly capacity development part we can do. Or even now we do actually a lot of regional programs as well. So Sri Lanka, I think for last 3 programs, even one we had in Philippines here with Toyota Motors, and the second one Singapore with Singapore Corporation, Foreign Ministry, and the third one Manila also. And next one is actually Bangladesh. So Sri Lanka actually attending. So far last 6 months, 6 members attended for those as well. So in all these, we are actually trying to give a platform for our Tibet leaders to understand what is happening in the world, especially the Singapore one. Covered the area you have clearly identified, technopreneurship. So that is one of their main agenda, and Singapore government mainly focus Tibet sector, because if you want to grow the economy, so you have to fund more to Tibet. So their target is actually not the higher education, so the Tibet. So they, even the Prime Minister actually attend to their Independence Day in the Tibet, IT head office there. So that is the priority. So all the countries actually prioritize this Tibet sector, especially Tibet people, as Professor Ranjith highlighted, because Tibet is technology mainly, right? So they drive all these technopreneurship and entrepreneurship, and also in all these sectors, a lot of the ground level. So they drive the economies of these, especially developing countries. One good model is Singapore. So in that program, 5 days program, Sri Lanka also attended, TVC and the ministry. So perhaps I think you can organize another maybe awareness program. How we, because it's very difficult to do only one institutions. It should be all together. So that's the role of CPSC, as I mentioned earlier. So even the conference, future conference, we can support that one, but of course you have to plan it well in advance. So we can have a regional program in there, having this conference, and maybe we can bring overseas experts as well. Thank you.
Well, of course, yes. And those who are really joining the international forums, going to get training, and they must perhaps come back and disseminate their knowledge and know-how to the beneficiaries that we are expecting out of whatever the program we have at the moment. Now, I'm getting a message from the organizers to wind up the session, since we have been going to have the sort of plenary sessions starting at 10:30 Sri Lankan time. Well, to wind up the panel discussion, I like to pose the very last question to the Vice Chancellor, sir. You may add few more thoughts to as a concluding remark to this panel discussion, please.
Thank you. Well, we are talking on the issue of resilient future, how technology can support the resilience in the communities. What is the role of technopreneurship in this area where we have issues? Well, when it comes to technopreneurship, what we expect, if I tell you in brief, we need to look at the technological innovations, creativity that we harness through the collective efforts, networking. So Professor Wickramasinghe was talking about the conferences, symposia that they support to promote the diverse sector. So we need to have networks. Keynote Speaker also highlighted that fact. So it's a innovations, creativity, and then that has to be joined together with people, networks, and also it should have a futuristic vision. So whatever we do today should actually will come into effect in time to come. So we need to have a vision. What would be the expectations of the society? What would be the expectations of the market in the future when we try to find solutions to be resilient? And also it has to be sustainable. In a dynamic world, things will not be in a similar way over time. Things to change, but that should not prevent the sustainability of the systems. So whatever the systems that we have in place, the technological solutions should ensure the sustainability. And also there's a component which is important in technopreneurship or whatever the other technological applications we do. We need to think of the environment as well. So we have to be environmentally sensitive, technologically advanced, creative, innovative, and market-oriented work with, very importantly, we are going to serve the society, human, mankind. So it should be included in the technopreneurship, the human values. So all that in together, I'm sure the technology would prosper in the future. We should be able to use the technology. We should be able to support the technology for the societies to survive, societies to manage, societies to be resilient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, in conclusion, the very message out of this panel discussion, in order to sustain in long run, prosper the systems, the processes, and the organizations as a whole, by and large, there are few key steps to be taken surrounding the topic of sustainability, and there are a lot of research done. And it is very important to disseminate this knowledge down to the ground level for the purpose of application and getting the maximum benefit out of this. Now, in that sense, we do have a very big role, pivotal role as universities to support these initiatives, which have been, of course, acclaimed, and a lot of debates have been surrounding for the last couple of decades on the issue of resilience or resiliency. So with that remark, let me once again say thank you very much, the panel members. We know that in Norway time is very early morning right now, maybe 4 o'clock early morning, Professor Carlos. And thank you very much for your dedication, support, and very informative thoughts that added to this symposium. And Professor Carlos is an environmental process engineering specialist with over 20 years experience in operational support and process optimization of various projects. And he's an expert on the biogas technology. And presently, he's professor of the Department of Process, Energy and Environment, University of Southeastern Norway. Thank you very much, Professor Carlos Becogay, for your presence and contribution to make this event a very successful one. And also, Professor K.K.D.S, Senior Professor K.K.D.S Ranaweera. Professor Ranaweera is a professor Food Science and Technology, University of Jayewardenepura. Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution. And also Professor G.L.D. Wickramasinghe, who have been on board all the way from Manila, I believe. And thank you very much for your contribution, sir. And Senior Professor Ranjith Premalal Silva, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Vocational Technology. Thank you too, sir. And let me wind up with the permission of the organizers. And I believe we had a good panel discussion. And please remain with us, and you can join the plenary session going to be started at 10:30 a.m. Sri Lankan time. Thank you very much once again. Have a good day.
So let's move on to the next item on the agenda. The personality who I'm to call next contributed immensely to the smooth functioning of the symposium with her team. Dr. Erandhya Jayawardene, co-secretary of the symposium, I cordially invite you to give the vote of thanks.
Good morning all. I feel honored to get the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion on behalf of the organizing committee of the International Research Symposium 2022, University of Vocational Technology, Sri Lanka. First of all, we spread a very heart vote of thanks to our keynote speaker of the symposium, Professor Carlos Dinamarca, for accepting our invitation and giving his vital time on his busy schedule and sharing his experiences with us today to grace this event. And our deep sense of appreciation to the most valued guests for the plenary session, Senior Professor K.K.D.S and Professor G.L.D. Wickramasinghe. Thank you, sirs, for sparing time and a commendable discussion to make this occasion. And with deep respect, we express our hearty thanks to Senior Professor Premalal Silva, the Vice Chancellor, University of Vocational Technology. Thank you, sirs, for guidance, support, and to shape the conference as a symposium advisor. And our sincere thanks goes to Professor Chandana Jayalath, Dean, Faculty of Industrial Technology, as the moderator of the plenary session, and also for suggestions and support given at various stages to improve this entire work. And also we are grateful to our Director General, Mrs. Nirmini Diabedanage, for her support giving us in every possible way to succeed in this event. We extend our gratitude to Dr. Ranaweera from University of Moratuwa. Thank you, sir, for your invaluable support and contribution given to us as the coordinator of the conference management tool. Also, we are very grateful to all the CMT track chairs for your efforts to make this event effective. Especially, we are grateful for the panel of reviewers who extended their expertise in reviewing the paper. The Dean, Mr. Asanka Patirana, and all the academic staff of the Faculty of Information and Communication Technology are acknowledged for their enormous and high-quality support to make this virtual conference turn into a successful event. And also Mr. Indika Priyadarshani, the system administrator, and his team are thanked for their support. Also, our sincere gratitude goes to Mr. Niranjan Surya Bandara, undergraduate of the BTech in Software Technology degree of 2018-19 B2 batch, who developed an attractive website for the symposium. And then we are grateful to Mr. Karan Jayamathuge, media producer, Mr. Ranjith, and all the staff of Media and Information Services Division for their effective contribution towards the success of this entire work. The core reason of this entire program is the author. So we extend our gratitude to all the presenters for gracing your important research work and sharing them with the community today. We extend our deep sense of appreciation to all the session chairs for accepting our invitation to give their contribution to coordinating the parallel technical sessions to be started soon. Moreover, our sincere thanks to all the referters, online session coordinators, And technical supporters, your contribution is very much important to the smooth running of the event. And we extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the members of the editorial team and the organizing committee, including the deans of the faculties, all the directors, academic and administrative staff of the University of Vocational Technology, and the university colleges for their enormous cooperation extended in organizing this symposium. Further, we would like to thank Ms. Premalal, Assistant Registrar Faculties for her support in every possible way. Finally, my heartfelt gratitude goes to my peer co-secretaries, Ms. Buddhima Karunaratne and Mr. Suranga Disanayaka for their utmost contribution and invaluable dedication to make this event successful. At last, but not least, sincere gratitude to our torchbearer, Symposium Chair, Dr. L.W.S. Kularatne. Dear Sir, thank you for leading and guiding us to the goal of success today. Thank you all who participated in this inauguration ceremony and invite you to join the parallel sessions which will be started in 10:30 AM today. Thank you.
It's time for us to wind up the opening ceremony, but before that, dear distinguished guests, please rise for the national anthem.
Sri Lanka Mata, Abba Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata, Sundara Sri Karini, Surani Ati Sobamana Lanka, Ranya Ganaya Mekamal Walakuru Piri Jayewardenepura, Appa Hatta Sapa Siri